This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. This is for anybody who has a dog, and maybe you thought about doing this before, or maybe you're just unaware, but your dog wants to run in nature. It's their instinct. That's what they do. That's what they were bred for in the beginning. But many of us don't do that, or dogs are not ready for it, to let them go just on a hike with you. It's going to be getting warmer soon, I promise. Might take a little bit longer, especially in the Northeast, where he and I are. But let's talk about getting your dog ready for hiking. He is the owner and dog trainer with his amazing staff at Misty Pines Pet Company in Pennsylvania. I've learned so much from him so far on these podcasts. I've shared it with so many others as well. So great to have Jeff Woods back on the program with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. Nice to be with you again. Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you being here, and also the fact that it's above freezing today. By a little bit, here at least. What about by you?
Oh, yes. It's supposed to go up to 40 today. Finally, the snow and ice is melting, and I'm really missing running my dogs because my dogs love to run, and I love to walk with them to build that good relationship up with them, and I'll be able to get back into it. But as you well know, it's been too dangerous to get these dogs out, and probably too dangerous for us humans also. That snow and ice is pretty deep out there.
I never thought that we would get excited to say, well, it's going to be above freezing. What? Well, coming from 5 degrees or below zero, especially with wind chill, can be understandable. Let's go to the mentality of a dog and why letting them run and be free within reason around you is so important.
Well, dogs love the smell. That's like one of the largest things that dogs like to do. So when you're running with a dog, number one, they get exercise. You call them to you. They come into you. You love them up, give them a little food treat to say, take a break, go run, go explore. And that's really good for a dog because it's a free choice what the dog can smell. They're smelling all the plants, all the fauna out there, and you call them back in, love them up. When they come to, you say, take a break, go run. That's like the highest reward you could probably give to a dog.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. I don't think we realize that. We think reward is treats and pets, but just giving them freedom to just get out there and run around, I don't think we've ever thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's optimal. And it's nice too because you can see the dog just happy, happy, happy. And you build a really nice relationship and bond with your dog when you pursue hiking with your dog. And I advocate it. That's why Misty Pines, we have our trails here on our acreage here. And I really recommend people to, hey, let's learn how to hike with our dogs. We'll make your dog a better dog.
So what are some of the foundational steps to getting your dog ready for that? Let's say your dog is always on the leash. You take them for walks. Maybe you walk a little in a wooded area, but not on a true hike where you're up in woods. There's no cars around. It's just, some trails and that's it. How do we get closer to I guess, letting them off a leash?
Well, the first thing is do it when they're puppies. The puppies love to eat, so you have really good food with you as a reward. So have your good treats with you, and then when the puppy gets so far away from you, you grab that treat, you get it really close to their nose. You tell your puppy this way. You want the puppy to turn and follow you for a few steps, then you reward it. So you use like a leash, 6-foot leash. You go to a longer leash. Our goal is to capture our dog's attention when they're smelling something, and by doing that, if you have a really good treat in your hand, which I refer to in our past podcast as $100 bills because they have a really high value. And you put that in your hand, put it in front of the dog's nose, and you tell the puppy this way, and you just drive that dog to you, and you give it a reward. And you continue to do that when they're puppies. even when your puppy's a little puppy, what we recommend also is instead of feeding your puppy out of a food bowl all the time, put your dog chow, puppy chow in the treat pouch and walk around the house and call your puppy, pup, pup this way, pup, pup this way. Puppy turns, you pull out one piece of its meal and you reward it. So for
Mm.
instance, if you had 25 pieces of kibble in one meal, that's 25 training sessions you can teach your dog to come to you. Little whistle, come. So your puppy has to eat, but basically your treat bag is the dog's food bowl for that particular feeding. Because you know puppies love to eat. They're always hungry because they're growing. So you drive the dog to you. Then you teach the dog how to work around distractions. You put them on a leash or a little bit longer line, try to guide them in like you're fist over fist, like you're guiding that dog in line, 20-foot lines, 30-foot lines, and just keep continuing doing that. But the good food value of a $100 bill is what drives the dog to you.
Can you do that with older dogs where you're kind of enticing them, where you're keeping the treat in your hand? I don't know why I never thought about doing that, but it seems like a great idea.
Yes, you start out at a very short distance, maybe a 20-foot line. You have a whistle because the whistle's a high pitch sound. So the voice doesn't carry as well as a whistle. You can either whistle through your mouth or just a mechanical whistle. Come this way. And 9 times out of the 10, the dog will come. It's not 100% proof, but we can get most dogs to come to you just through the rewards and then also a longer line. And then for some of the dogs, because some dogs, they do have dogs have a natural range to them. Like the herding dogs always stay closer to human. Some of the dogs you have to be careful with is like the hounds and the huskies because they have that independence about them. You know, where the husky takes an Iditarod and they just go, and a hound gets on a scent. They like to track it. Beagles are like that, coonhound. Some dogs are more difficult just because of their instincts.
Mm.
And so you have to be, sometimes you will have to get a tool that really reaches out at longer ranges. So those tools like a remote collar, because today electronics is really helpful for teaching dogs that have a long range. So the remote is just a remote collar. They wear a collar. You have a remote. You teach a dog how to use the signals off a remote collar. And once they understand those signals, what they mean, basically the remote collar becomes basically an electronic leash for those dogs that have a little further range.
So let's look at a scenario. Let's say your dog is fairly obedient, not used to running free. Like many dogs, they may bolt in a certain direction because now they're doing their own thing. You have a fear of your dog just taking off somewhere. And, you know, you don't know what could happen. And you have that fear, but you want to really walk them in the woods and let them be free and eventually get to that point where they're kind of walking with you, but the moment you call them, they're right over to you. They're not off in another direction. That be the hypothetical scenario. How do we work with that? And let's say an older dog. Let's say your dog's 5, 6, something like that.
Well, you start out, make sure the dog's obedient. So when you teach a dog obedience, and we're working dogs in our arena, we're teaching obstacles, and we're building that bond. So if you have a good bond and a good partnership with your dog, it becomes much easier because the dog's is already learned to cooperate with you through just basic obedience. When you tell your dog to do a certain obstacle, they'll climb it for you. They love to build the bond with you. They love to build the relationship with you. So you teach the dogs to cooperate with you. And dogs that cooperate through their training are easy. So the first thing I always ask, and I'll ask you this question too, you also, Steve, is how old is your dog and what kind of breed the dog is it? Because that tells you a lot. So if the dog's in bad habits at 5 years old, obviously that's going to be more difficult. Not that it can't be done, but it'll be more difficult because do you have a good relationship with your dog? Can you come into our training center and teach your dogs obstacles? Can your dog have fun with you while you train? Because that's what running your dog is all about, is building that relationship with the dog. So it can be done, but it may be more difficult with an older dog.
Interesting. Having fun. So is there ever a time, let's say during a training process, Is there ever a time you think that a dog might not be having fun? It seems like it would be fun. There's reward, there's movement, there's skills they're learning, their sense of purpose, and all of that. Do you think it's mostly fun for them?
Well, you read their body language, so their body language tells you if they're having fun. So you look for that wagging tail, that smile on their faces, and the dog shows you that they are happy. So you just read the dog's emotional level through their body language. And
Hmm.
when you do obstacle work with a dog, most dogs really love obstacles. And once they learn the obstacles, it becomes part of a reward system to reward the dog for different behaviors that you request the dog to do for you. So you tell your dog, sit, stay. You point to an obstacle like the A-frames we call a scramble. You tell your dog to scramble. They run up over the scramble, come down there wagging their tail, and they look at you, Steve, when they come off of that. They look at you like, hey, I really like listening to what you have to say. What else do you want me to do for you? So what
Hmm.
that teaches is cooperation. So you have a dog that has learned to cooperate with you. That type of dog is much more easier to teach a recall because they want to cooperate. So that's a baseline.
So out of the breeds, and there's going to be much fluctuation, and I don't even know if you can answer this, but I'm really curious. Let's say your dog is older. Again, pick an any random age, 5 years old. What are some breeds that are more challenging to train when the dog is a little bit older, as opposed to some of the other breeds where it's a little easier?
Hounds particularly are more difficult.
When you say hounds, how do you define?
Coon hound, beagle hound, all the dogs that tend to want to track and get on game.
Hmm.
Those are the typical dogs that when hunters get them out, they tend to range too far and sometimes they get off track. So they have, if you have a hunting dog, then they have GPS collars. And today, with all the new equipment they have for the dog, it's so advanced that you can track the dog, see where it's going because you have a remote and it tells you where the dog is going up to 11 miles away. You can track your dog. So the
Hmm.
hounds become more difficult because they're independent. That's part of the nature of a hound. They need to be independent in order to track these game animals for long ranges. So
Wow.
they tend to be probably the more difficult dogs to have just a good natural recall because tracking a game is probably more important to them than food. And sometimes that can be a difficult dog.
Wow. Okay. So let's go on the other side. Some of the easier ones.
Easier dogs, probably into herding dogs. Herding dogs are pretty easy because they're bred to stay with you on the farm and to jump in the truck and go into town with you. So they tend to be more valuable as far as wanting to be with you and not ranging far from you.
Hmm.
German Shepherd, they're herding dogs, the same thing. They're usually more loyal to you. They want to protect you. They want to be with you. They're usually the easier dogs. Um, but most dogs want you to establish a working order with them through teaching partnership and cooperation. Those dogs are much easier to teach a really good recall.
Hmm. What are some things we should keep in mind if we want to get out there and let our dogs be free, get them to the point where they can be, whether they're a puppy or an older dog? What's some of the other things that we should be mindful of?
As far as
Getting to that
recall,
point, yeah, where you can send them out, you can be with them, you can hike in the woods. Um,
yeah, the first thing is put them on a long line. Like they
okay.
have 30-foot cords, 40-foot cords. Grab yourself a whistle because dogs will hear the whistle because it's a higher pitch. So we have whistles that have a high pitch. And when I go out with my dogs, any dog out in the field, if I don't have my whistle on me, I feel like I'm naked.
Wow.
It's a really good component. So a whistle that has a high pitch with no P in it are generally a higher pitch. The P is those little round cork balls that you put in so you get high pitches on these. Because dogs can really hear a high pitch very easily. Sometimes our voice doesn't carry as well due to the wind. And take a good piece of food that your dog absolutely loves, put them on a long line, like a 30-foot, 20-foot, 50-foot, get them out there and then start working. But I probably would recommend to start it out is go to a fenced-in area. So you go to a dog park on a day and a time where there's nobody in there, and then work with your dog so there's no distractions of other dogs. That would be an ideal place to work. And
You know,
really,
I love that idea with the dog park. If you can get there when there's nobody around, maybe earlier in the day, whatever it might be, because there's
yes,
also going to be the scent of many dogs in there, i.e., distractions. So,
yes.
and one side, oh, that's a pain to deal with. On the other side, beneficial because you can keep refocusing them because they're gonna go off to another scent. Come on back with the whistle, I guess.
You use a whistle, you when you take that end of that long line, you just give them a little tug on that line. But you practice that little tug just with your dog in the house with a 6-foot leash. Tell your dog this way, give him a little tug on the leash. It's like the range of the horse. So when we teach dogs, we also teach dogs how to use a leash properly,
Mm.
just like the range of the horse. When the leash gives you that tactile feel a certain way, it means to turn for you. So we teach the dog how to use the leash just in the house with a piece of food. Take the dog's leash signal, which we call it, the little tug on the leash this way. It's like you're guiding the dog. Give it a piece of food, then you go to a longer line. Then you present distractions to the dog. The dog park's great because, like you said, Steve, you got all this scent of other dogs, and you need distractions in order to teach the dog how to proof them through that behavior. Because dogs, we don't live in a bubble. We have distractions. So distractions are really important to teach a dog how to work through that and pay attention.
So let's say I go buy a whistle, get the right kind, want to start that, want to start implementing that and letting my dog know that that's a signal. What are the very first things you should do? Very first things to make that connection with a treat, and then establish that.
Well, as I said earlier, you could take your dog's food, instead of putting it in a food bowl, get yourself a treat pouch.
Look at you.
That's a treat pouch.
That's what you travel with all the time.
Yep.
That's great. Wow.
I don't have my whistle with me right now, but one of my staff is listening to me. They can get me a whistle, and I'll show you what the whistle is. Okay? So you can get this, and I do this when my puppies are just wee little. So every once in a while, I have a litter of pointer puppies. I raise English pointers. And
Mm.
they're all, you have a litter of puppies, 6, 7. You leave them out, and they're all running. I go with my whistle, and they'll come to me. I give them a food treat because they're hungry. Even to this day, my puppies, I keep a couple of them out of the litter. They can be 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. When I give them a little whistle, that quiet, I don't know if you can hear that.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
real quiet whistle. They come and get the food. I can do that today with my puppies when they're older dogs. They still understand that because I imprinted them when they're really young. So even now, if you have an older dog, use your treat bag as your food bowl. Put your food, use your dog food in there. For instance, if you had 30 pieces of kibble in one feeding, as an example, that's 30 sessions you can give your dog to come to you in the house with a whistle.
Hmm.
Charlie, this way, food treat. Go take a break. Let them run around the house, walk around the house. Give them the signal. Hey, Charlie, this way. Give them a little food treat. And by the time you're done, you walked all around the house. If you use your whistle, you used the recall command, and you gave the dog their feeding all at the same time. So you gave them 30 lessons on how to come to you, plus you fed your dog. That's powerful. And if you want more motivation to power your dog to you, then you get a little higher value food treat.
Hmm.
The food treats, I rate them as $1 bill, $5 bill, $10 bill, $20 bill, $50 bill, $100 bill. My staff brought me a whistle. That's the signal. This is a nice
So
whistle.
I can't hear that. Okay.
You
But
can't, you can't?
no, but it could be Zoom. Zoom is designed to only filter
Oh,
through
certain. Okay.
your the human voice. So
That's,
I didn't hear that.
that's the whistle.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
And as you said, that's a whistle without one of those little balls inside of there that would vibrate. This is just a straight out.
Yeah. Yep. This is called a Fox 40. It's got two holes in the front, and you can You can actually talk with this whistle, like different sounds. It's like playing an instrument, and it's pretty cool. But when you get
Wow.
outside, dogs will hear this much easier than a human voice. So I started out just with my lips, just a quiet whistle when they're puppies.
Yep.
And then you just grow with distractions and you get higher value food items. Like for my dogs, we use like cheese or liver, something of that nature, because that's higher palatability for you. So like
Mm.
ourselves, what motivates you more, Steve? A piece of lettuce or a pepperoni pizza? Yeah.
Yep.
So you want to it gives that dog more drive to come to you because that food is much more palatable. And you only use that just on your recalls, like when you call your dog, because it makes that like a special event for that dog to listen to you.
With the whistle that you make with your mouth, I've done that for my dog since he was a puppy, and I
Us.
need to reinforce that, especially learning today that the more high value treats, because sometimes he won't come running when I do that whistle. But let's say it's time for bed, and usually he jumps off the couch and then follows me upstairs to jump in bed. And maybe I might get home a little bit later and it's a little off schedule, and I'll walk upstairs and I'll be like, and I'll wait a second. He doesn't come on, and I'll throw his name out there. And then he does. He eventually comes up. But imagine if I followed that with a high value treat. It's almost a guarantee that they're going to come
Absolutely.
running.
So
Mm.
how many times have a treat bag or you go to the refrigerator and you rattle something plastic or you go to the treat bag in the other room and they hear the package move and you call the dog, maybe they're not coming to, but you go to the treat bag and make that noise like you're unraveling it. The
Oh, yeah.
dog's like there.
Eh,
I've done that to my dogs. They're upstairs sleeping. I'll call them downstairs. They're not coming. I open up the refrigerator door, rattle some plastic with it, and they're like there, like on the spot. So
yes.
that's like your whistle command.
It's totally true. And I don't even know what's happening. Like, some cold cuts or whatever. And if I'm having that, I always, if he's nearby, I'll always throw him a little bit, because I know he loves it. And but
Sure.
certainly the plastic of that, the door opening and the crinkly of the right away. He's right
Yep.
there.
That's like using the whistle, the same thing. That's the analogy. That's that sound that means something special. So when you're out in the woods, we want the whistle to mean something special. So that's where we use those $100 bills, so to speak, the higher value item.
Mhm.
And the dog usually comes to you.
I got to tell you, Jeff, talking with you, and I truly appreciate it for our viewers and listeners. Dog training isn't rocket science, but there are things that you need to be mindful of and remember as, the human of your dog that we don't think of because we don't think like trainers. Like everything you're saying is like, duh, duh. This is where my brain is going. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? Why? That's so easy. Why didn't I think of that? But we're not wired that way. This is why you hire a trainer because they see it, they know what works as well, and some of the reinforcement that we might not make that connection for.
Yeah, reinforcement is the key. That
Mm.
is the key. Something the dog really loves to do. Food, obstacles, throwing a ball for them. Different dogs have different rewards that are higher than others, but food is
Mm.
usually pretty much universal
Mm.
for most dogs.
And you can really see the difference. Like I have, treats that come from the pet store. One bag over here, he likes it. It's okay. I open up the other one. It's got a completely different dog. And even when I smell that treat, I'm like, man, it smells pretty good to a human too. I don't know what they have in there. Um, how do we connect with you? I know that the majority obviously needs to be done at Misty Pines there in Pennsylvania. There are some things you can do virtually as well. What's the starting point?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, starting point is just get on to our website and check us out, mistypinespetcompany.com. Give us a phone call, 412-364-4122. Give us a call. Give us a call. Say, I want to talk to Jeff. I love to talk to people. I love to talk dogs. It's my favorite subject, and I could go on and on and on about dogs, and I help people with their problems. And, I'm here, and our staff is here to help improve the lives of people and dogs. There's just such good vibes and serotonin and dopamine rushes in ourselves when we work with our animals via dogs or horses or whatever it is. It's just such a nice way of just like relaxing and helping these animals and just creating that nice partnership with our animals is just a beautiful thing.
Mm.
Beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing in what you do and your staff as well. And what you do is the complete opposite of the norm nowadays, where everything is automated. There's no personal touch. I feel like you're a friend. Like we could pick you up and say, Jeff, I got something going on here. Can you help me with it? And you're there to help.
I'd love to.
Yeah, fantastic. That is your purpose. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for being here today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Steve. Thank you for having me.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.